I see you brought the mighty Hellscream.
Hell who? No, it's just me with my Grand. Hellscream is weak in comparison to my forces. Hello, I'm trying to understand how difficult it will be to beat Warcraft 3 without any heroes, and it's the Orc's turn. Rules reminder: do not use any heroes, as they do not exist. This also means that I cannot accept any quests. Allied heroes are allowed, I can't control them. Heroes can be used if it's necessary for the mission objective, and complete the game on hard difficulty. Landfall. We are starting with a no-build mission, which means we will skip most of the fights. For the necessary fights, we will try to split our enemies into smaller groups and divide their attention as much as possible. Soon we will get our first reinforcements, including some trolls. Some fights can be avoided by hugging the trees. For the later fights, be cautious of summoned war pigs, as they can easily kill your trolls. This time there is actually a healing fountain, which we can use to replenish some health. Once we receive the next reinforcements, we'll see a cutscene with Thrall. Make sure to hide him again. In the final segment we need to protect Cairn, but at this point we have so much power that it will be easy. The Long March. Here we need to protect Cairn and his Kodos while leading the caravan to the oasis. I hide Thrall in the corner and start clearing the path for the caravan. However, Cairn will only follow Thrall, so he and the caravan will remain at the starting point for a while. The main challenge is the constant small enemy attacks on the caravan. I need to eliminate them. Once my forces reach the first fountain, it looks good. However, for some reason the caravan is attacked, forcing me to move Thrall. And while I push forward him, he gets attacked. On the next attempt, Thrall is caught once more, so I decided to leave a small force behind to intercept enemy attacks. At the first oasis, I received 3 additional grunts. However, I suspect they are triggered by Thrall, so I choose not to use them. When Cairn arrives, enemies can attack the caravan from 2 sides now, making the situation escalate twice as fast. I need to be faster. After dealing with some harpies, we can bypass their large settlement and hope that Cairn make it through as well. After the second oasis, there's a section with enemy towers. We need to bait defenders out first, to handle them without a risk. Our initial forces are sufficient to destroy the towers. Meanwhile, Cairn is losing more health than he can regenerate, so I need to move even faster. I decide to move Thrall and the caravan to the second oasis. I receive some raiders, but I choose not to use them again. And finally, all the towers were destroyed. Cairn is the last one standing and makes a smart move to retreat. We need to support him in protecting the caravan. Once I'm certain there are no enemies left on the path, I move Thrall to the final oasis. The only remaining task is to protect the Kodos and the mission is complete. Cry of a Warsong. This mission starts with a segment where we need to clear the enemy base. I was so excited that I forgot to move Thrall away. So I reload. Now, leaving Thrall behind, I clear the enemy base. But again, after the cutscene, Thrall appears in the middle of the base, so I have to move him again. Here we have Hellscream, and he will raid enemy bases. These bases remain neutral to us until we attack them. So, we need to help him clear them as quickly as possible. However, he decided to attack the strongest base first, which was impossible to take down so early. So, I took some of my forces and tried to skip this base, but there were too many neutral enemies in a way. Right after this failed attack, the enemy counterattacked me, forcing me to use all my workers to defend. It was a disaster. I almost lost. When I finally gathered more troops, Hellscream launched another raid, and this time I left him alone. But once he was defeated, the enemy base started attacking me instead of him. That's unfair. On the next raid, I was prepared to support him, and this time we had a large green forces. So I only need to protect my demolishers and Hellscream, and we quickly destroyed the base. Hellscream quickly moved to another base, for which I was also prepared. However, I was suddenly attacked by a Mountain King, and I barely survived his attack wave. He stayed alive with just one hit left for far too long. I couldn't hit him for some reason. And once we finished the green base, I was attacked again by the blue enemy. What a mess. And next, Grommash attacked blue enemy while I was busy defending against the grey one. And once my base was safe, I pushed forward to assist Grom. By the time I arrived, he had lost all his forces and I barely made it in the time to support him. With our combined effort, we finished off this base. Now, I could clear the path to buy some Zeppelins, but for some reason, I couldn't hire them using my regular units. Why? Why is this happening every time? Why in one mission I can do this and in another I cannot? So I had no choice but to move Thrall there, buy 2 Zeppelins, and bring him back to my base. The Spirits of Ashenvale. In this mission, we need to harvest 15,000 lumber. That's a lot, and we'll be doing it without Grom. I've prepared a strong force, so I can strike first. Once I cut down a line of trees, elves appear to protect the forest. We don't have a gold mine yet, so we need to save resources to build a new base nearby. Don't forget to defend a new base from early patrols. Plus, we can't take the quest to get shredders, so we'll be cutting down the forest manually. With that in mind, I cut down the first big tree in the south, which gave me 3,000 lumber. I started preparing some defenses, as this is my only base generating gold income. Once I gathered more troops, I moved north and found another unprotected tree. Now, only 8,000 lumber more to go, almost halfway there. Farther north, I spotted a base, so I decided to move southwest instead. The defenses there were strong, but it was a bit easier than north one. While I was about to finish off this base, I was attacked and had to retreat to defend my base. After securing my position, I finished cutting the third tree, collecting another 3,000 lumber. Now only 5,000 to go. However, enemy aggression increased from the other side, and my gold mine collapsed. Luckily, I had captured the southwest base, so I could get gold from there. The northwest base was too heavily fortified, so attacking it wasn't an option for now. Without a stable income, I couldn't launch a proper offense. All my gold was needed for defense. Then another attack hit me. There were too many enemies, and my only good unit was a demolisher, which could take out archers efficiently enough. But the enemy outnumbered me. I lost my central base. I barely managed to defend my starting base. It was a complete mess. With no gold, no army, and 2,000 lumber to go, I attempted to attack the northeast, hoping to find another poorly defended tree. But another enemy attack struck, and I had no chance of winning. And another wave hit my remaining base, the one providing my only gold income. 1,000 lumber left to collect. I hid all my workers and built a lumber mill, hoping to buy myself some time. The first attackers reached my base. I had no army and no defenses. My second base fell, but then the enemy retreated. Even my main base was left untouched. Why? But I will take my chance and collect the last 1,000 lumber. With no further threat, I finally completed the mission. And despite everything, it wasn't even close. I'm just glad the enemy didn't have heroes here. The Hunter of Shadows. This mission begins with previously collected lumber, and our goal is to kill Scenarios, the god of the Ashenvale forest, who can restore destroyed trees in an instant, and once again we'll be doing it without Grom. We need to build a bunch of towers to defend against early aggression. I wanted to know if that's possible to turn our orcs into fel orcs without Grom. So I started clearing a path to the corrupted well to see if my orcs were independent enough to drink from it themselves. Once my troops reached Satyrland, I carefully pushed forward. There are 2 large satyrs ahead, and one of which casts meteor rain that can quickly decimate your forces. Meanwhile, prepare a second group to defend your base. After my exploration troops were healed, I found a healing fountain, just in time. At the corrupted well, I encountered another satyr boss, so I pulled him carefully. Normally, I would prefer to handle this with Grom alone, using his ultimate ability to cut down everything in his path. Here, however, we need to be cautious and pull enemies separately. Once all the satyrs were defeated, a cutscene played where... Grom? No way! There is no Grom. We did this without him. We are independent enough to make our own decisions, including drinking from all kinds of wells. Now, all my orcs were corrupted, and for some reason witch doctors and warlocks had the same hotkey. Thanks, Reforged. With my newly corrupted orcs, I launched an attack and destroyed the first enemy base. Yet, scenarios did not appear. Like a knife through butter, I wiped out another base. Still no sign of scenarios. Then I approached the third base. Scenarios finally showed up, but he was so weak that he fell quickly. No Grom was needed. Well, Wyverns there. In this mission we need to free the Wyverns and use them to attack enemies positioned on high ground. But first, we need to build some towers for defense. Our enemies have access to a Mountain King, who can easily decimate my forces, so I need to be prepared. The Wyverns were captured by Harpies. My plan is to build my army up to the population limit before setting the Wyverns free. This way, I'll have more forces than the game technically allows. At first, I found the corrupted well and attempted to complete the associated quest. To do this, I needed to defeat some centaurs, who were supposed to drop an item required for the quest. Except I couldn't pick it up. Nice. I also discovered a goblin laboratory, which for some reason I could use without a hero. Why? Why now? Here I could also hire goblin sappers, which I planned to put to good use. Then the Mountain King arrived to ruin my day. With one smash, he took away half of my troll's health, so I retreated and let my towers finish him off. Afterward, I bought a shredder, ensuring I wouldn't have a lumber shortage. I expanded to a new base and fortified it with towers. Once I repelled the next attack wave, I struck back at the low ground enemy base with ease. Nothing could stop me there. Soon after, another attack came, led by the Mountain King. After defeating him, I decided to counterattack quickly. I bought some Zeppelins and Sappers. And why can I load Sappers into Zeppelins? Why, Blizzard? They are units, not structures. Why can't I carry them? So I decided to load my forces into Zeppelin and completely forgot about the Wyverns. I barely managed to let my army at the enemy base, but due to poor control, I got smashed. But somehow though, 3 grunts and a Tauren managed to kill a Mountain King while he was out of mana. I gathered all my forces, used every production structure, and loaded all my remaining units into Zeppelins. For 5 minutes straight, I kept sending reinforcements, hoping that I can smash this base. The fight was intense. I barely managed to break through the enemy defenses, destroying their towers and barracks, but in the end, I cleared the enemy base and finally saw the victory screen. The Oracle. In this mission we have 2 sections, and Thrall has the first one. We start with 2 grunts, 2 raiders, a witch doctor, and a shaman. That's a solid combo, but without Thrall, pushing forward is much harder. Thrall's wolves could soak up a lot of incoming damage, but instead we have to rely on grunts and riders, healing them with the witch doctor. The first cultist enemies even have AoE spells, making microcontrol even more difficult. So I lost everything by the third enemy pack. I tried scouting Nerve, but all I found were some skeletons that killed my grunt. Lame. On my next attempt, I managed to win the initial fight without losses. Healed up a bit, but still couldn't split the cultist who kept sniping my low health units. So I took my chances to scout ahead and see what's coming next. I knew I needed every unit to avoid getting stuck for hours. I tried breaking some boxes, but there was a banshee inside who ended up possessing my radar. Come on, that's not even funny. Then some ancients wiped my forces with chain lightning, so it was another reload. After finally clearing that part, the first mini-boss appeared. I baited him out and tried to kill him, but he had a finisher ability that instantly killed my low health units, resurrected skeletons from his body, and even revived the dead, which I couldn't handle with my remaining forces. What a boss. On my next attempt, I managed to defeat him with some losses and wanted to check what was ahead. Skeletor guarding a portal door. I decided to skip the fight and just run past. Now, with only Shaman and a Grand, I kept running forward, found some sorcerers, and decided to reload. Then I killed the boss on the bridge without losing any unit. So I took my time clearing small skeletons, destroyed the door, and left Big Skeletor alone. Now I could easily progress, rescuing some trolls, only to immediately lose my only healing option to some archers. Nice. After another reload, I rescued 2 more trolls and started clearing harpies. It was painful. I failed to bait them out, my forces got stuck at the door, so I reload. Baiting them out wasn't an option, so I took the fight, lost everyone except my grunts and radar, and reloaded again. But in the end I realized that this was actually the last segment here, so I could print troll to collect the quest item and take it to the bridge. And here comes the cairn section. Now we have 3 Tauren, tanky and powerful units. And here comes the fun part. They can't use the circle to clear some pigs, but instead they can use the exact same type of circle to open doors. Why? How? What's the difference? These circles look identical. I healed up at a fountain, wondering why they didn't add one in Thrall section. The T-posing golems were easy to defeat with a bit of micro. And then I found another quest item, which only Cairn can pick up. So I took Cairn, ran past all the items, opened the door, and guess what? I needed another item to create the bridge. Great. So I had no other choice but to kill those pigs using only 3 Tauren. I baited them out bit by bit, tried fighting them near the healing fountain, and almost lost all my units. After replenishing and refreshing, I took another fight and cleared the rest of the enemies. Now I could finally take the quest item, skip the necklace of magic immunity, and finish the mission. By Demon Speed Driven. Mission objective here is to capture Hellscream in Thrall's Pokeball. For now, we don't need Thrall or Cairn, our focus is on defense. And also, we must defend Jaina, because if her base is destroyed, the mission fails. The initial Felork attack consists of fully upgraded grunts with 7 armor, making them tough to handle. We will be constantly attacked by infernals, and for some reason, I thought they had fortified armor, like buildings. So my idea was to build demolishers to crush them, supported by a few towers. And then infernals started falling from the sky, and it was a mess. They wiped out everything in my base, and I barely survived the next Fel Orc assault. Jaina's base got smashed and I couldn't save her. Wait, why do Infernals have heavy armor? The tooltip says they take extra damage from magic, but they are immune to magic attacks. When I thought, if fighting them is so hard, why fight them at all? So I switched tactics. I forgot to free the Wyverns earlier, but they seemed totally fine with that. Their piercing attacks with poison were perfect against Infernals, and Fel Orcs didn't have much anti-air. I only needed to worry about Raiders and Warlocks. With this mobile air force, I could quickly move between my base and Jaina's to defend or launch counterattacks. While scouting, I found a small outpost with a goblin lab, a healing fountain making HP recovery easy, a gold mine in the center of a map, giving me more income. Jaina was struggling, so I helped her first, but the constant infernal attacks were a problem for me as well. At least, fighting enemy bases with Wyverns was easy, because grunts can't hit air. I just needed to quickly eliminate Warlocks, Raiders and Towers, and I was good. Then I realized something important. The enemy doesn't rebuild structures, only repairs them. At least in the outposts. It meant if I destroyed all their bestiaries, I would become the king of the skies. But my main base was in ruins. My attack on the next enemy base went badly, and my second base was also discovered and destroyed, so I reload. Instead, I decided to strike the eastern outpost first. It only had one bestiary and a bunch of towers. But then I got caught by an enemy attack and my forces were wiped out. I scouted every bestiary location, marking which one were defended and which weren't. I tried clearing them carefully, one by one. But then Jaina fell. I was also falling apart. I couldn't be everywhere at once. After discovering the last bestiary, I finally decided to restart the entire mission. And here is my step-by-step plan for this mission. Step 1. Kill Cairn and move Thrall to a safe spot. Step 2. Build towers in the center of your base for defense. Step 3. Construct an additional bestiary. Step 4. Start training Wyverns. We will need a bunch of them. Step 5. Trade your ground forces against the initial Fel Orc attack. We don't need them anymore. Step 6. Build more towers for extra defense. Step 7. Clear the Goblin Lab outpost. Step 8. Buy a shredder. This will solve all lumber problems. Step 9. Clear the central gold mine for additional income. Step 10. Lose Thrall to the first infernal wave? It seems that if you have Thrall alive, all infernals from the first wave will focus only on him and will kill him instantly. So, step 11. Kill Thrall before the infernals wave arrives. Okay, now we're good. Step 12. Clear the healing fountains. This will help a lot. Step 13. Destroy the first bestiary. It's in the middle, and it's undefended. Step 14. Protect your workers from Fel Orc attacks on your second base. Step 15. Strike the western base carefully. Start by destroying Warlock production. Then go for the bestiary. Pull enemy forces carefully to avoid being overwhelmed. Step 16. Attack the main base in the northeast. By now, you should have 2 full groups of Wyverns, making this fight much easier. Focus on towers and workers first to cripple their economy. Step 17. Rebuild your second base, it was destroyed in the process. Step 18. Strike the northwest base, it shouldn't be heavily defended. Step 19. Fall back. For some reason, this base has every raider in existence, making it risky for Wyverns. Step 20. Attack Hellscream's forces. Air units are their weakness. Step 21. Build an altar close to Hellscream's location. We need to make it safe for Thrall's return. Grom can't fight air units. Just look at him. He just stands there helplessly, looking for someone to save him. but instead of dying, he somehow makes copy of himself. And my altar was destroyed. So I guess step 22 and attack the western base again while rebuilding the altar, because this will take some time. Step 23. Once Thrall is resurrected, he can capture Grom. And I had an idea. Kill Thrall again, so I could resurrect him back at my base. But this is a bad idea. Grom escaped. So I revived Thrall once more, and this time I carefully escorted him to the end with Wyvern support. Oh, this campaign was the hardest so far, but it was way more fun than the Undead campaign. I can't wait to see what's coming next.